Aldershot game is definitely on. In fact, it'll be shown live right here on the Sports Channel later tonight. Aldershot, of course, from the 4th Division, back at Upton Park after holding West Ham to a goalless draw in their first meeting.
West Ham and Aldershot is the replay with a difference, taking place at the same ground as the first tie. The sides drew 0-0 in the first game, despite Aldershot's defensive frailties, and the match switched to West Ham because of Aldershot's 5,500 capacity. The 4th Division side earning a £50,000 payday, largely due to the athleticism of Peter Hooker in their goal. Tonight should bring another £50,000 payout, but there's also the chance of an upset. Aldershot may be 5 from the bottom of the Football League, but they did occasionally worry the Division 2 league leaders in the first game. But even the most ardent of Aldershot fans will be a little anxious about their defence. They've conceded more goals than anyone but Hull this season, including 6 at Scunthorpe on Saturday. They may have to rely on Hooker again tonight. Nottingham Forest's first home game against Crystal Palace was cancelled at short notice after a sudden downpour. This time round the cancellation was earlier in the day for a frozen pitch. The next attempts on Monday. Swindon.
9:35 Australian Open tennis, and 11 o'clock we're back at the World Masters in Birmingham for more snooker. 1 or 2 matches off tonight. Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace we know all about. That's where we should have been this evening. Swindon and Leyton Orient. Barclays League Division 2, Oxford United and Millwall. Rambelows Cup quarter-final, one of those has gone. Coventry City and Sheffield Wednesday. And in Scotland, Tennent's Scottish Cup Round 2 replay, Cowdenbeath and Spartans. Second round match, Ross County and Queen of the South. That's been off once or twice. And Scottish Division 1, Hamilton Academical against Meadowbank. Our football, we're live at West Ham tonight for a third round replay between West Ham United and Aldershot. Our guest, Republic of Ireland and Arsenal defender David O'Leary. It's nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
West Ham and Aldershot. That's what the FA Cup's all about, isn't it?
Yes, and I couldn't believe them. You know, they're here still in the replay. I can't see it going any further. Real David and Goliath stuff. Financially, it's a tremendous result for Aldershot, but I can see West Ham scoring a lot of goals tonight.
Well, having said that, you wouldn't have expected them to get a replay, would you? It was their tie. They took it to West Ham because they need the money. We know all about their financial problems. They got a glorious 0-0 out of it. So, well, what price them? Sneaking something tonight.
When you look at the defensive record over the season, I think bar Hull, they've the worst defensive record, and I can't see West Ham letting them escape a second time.
West Ham United, of course, have got other things on their mind. Promotion from the second division would be the priority. How much can a cup run mess that sort of thing up?
I think you take every game as it comes as an experienced manager. I mean, I lost to West Ham in an FA Cup final. Billy Bonds was in the team. He knows what FA Cup finals are about. It brings a great deal of success to the club. If you're going well in the Cup, it brings the league form on as well. It gives the fans a great appetite. And at the end of the day, it's financially, it's tremendous rewards for the players and the club itself.
It cost Oldham last year, though, didn't it, their cup run?
It did, but looking back, the players wouldn't have had it, I don't think, any other way. I mean, you know, you beat some team of a Saturday, you got a cup game on a Wednesday, you know, let's beat them. And really, like Arsenal, any of the successful teams, you play the next game, win that and get on. And as I say, all the West Ham players, it's nothing better. It's great to win a league championship, but there's nothing better to go out at Wembley. It's the greatest day in any player's career.
Yeah, I suppose it also saves you having to train. You've got 2 or 3 games coming at you in a week. You don't have to go through that dirge. Wow. But as a player who played in 3 in a row at the back end of the 70s, I mean, special. 1 was a bonus, wasn't it? 3 in a row?
Well, we're like anything when we're kids growing up. You look at the FA Cup final, you dream about it. I've been all over the world, and I've watched the FA Cup final on tour with Arsenal and various places around the world, and everywhere from Hong Kong closes down and watches that. And I never appreciated, I took it for granted really in my early days at Arsenal. We got there 3 times in the trot. And to beat Manchester United was an absolute fantastic day for me, particularly going up those steps. And you used to see it on television and dream as a kid, doing those things, and to have it for real was fantastic.
Fantastic. Better than winning 2-0 at Anfield? The title
again, I honestly thought, you know, the league championship is the greatest thing to win over a period of time, but at Anfield it was like a cup final. Everything, the way fate had it, everything was down on the night. We knew what we had to do, and it was kind of like an FA Cup final. If we could have put it at Wembley, it would have been unbelievable.
That's been said a million times, hasn't it? But this is Aldershot's FA Cup final at Upton Park tonight. West Ham United against Aldershot, third round FA Cup replay. Our commentary team, Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Thank you, Richard. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Upton Park, where the ground staff have worked wonders to give us a fit playing surface on this very frosty night. And a very healthy crowd here as well. West Ham, this family club where there's so much community spirit in the area, and they love their cup nights here. Tony Gale leads out West Ham United. Well, West Ham are top of the second division despite a crop of casualties, the latest of whom is centre-back Colin Foster. So Stuart Robson comes into the side, his first full game of the season. But Robson will play in the centre of midfield with the number 10 Steve Potts moving back into the middle of the defence. West Ham have been excellent defensively, but they have been disappointed with their strike rate. Trevor Morley, the number 11, the leading scorer with 11 goals so far. Aldershot field the same side which did so well to draw here 11 days ago, but then lost 6-2 at Scunthorpe on Saturday. David Puckett taking his tally of goals to 18. This the formation of manager Len Walker. Ian Stewart wide on the left, 31 caps for Northern Ireland in his days with Newcastle and Queen's Park Rangers. And goalkeeper Peter Hucker reached the FA Cup final itself with Queen's Park Rangers. That was 9 years ago. And Peter Hucker was simply outstanding here in the first meeting between these two clubs. It is a difficult time at the moment for referees. Howard King from Merthyr has always used his genial personality in applying the laws of the game. One hopes that those who are issuing the refereeing directives allows that sense of personality to continue, but I have to say at the moment there are doubts about that. There have been big refereeing meetings over the past weekend. Well, West Ham were the last second division side to win the FA Cup, and their present manager Billy Bonds was captain then in 1980, as he also was 5 years earlier when West Ham also won the Cup. Aldershot have had to change into their strip of all yellow because they were drawn first out of the hat and forfeited ground advantage. They wore their normal red and blue kit here, and in fact had the home dressing room at Upton Park. But it's back to normal for West Ham, and they hope that will also apply as the match pans out. Very strong favourites. The players starting the game wearing boots with a short stud, but there is a feeling as the night gets colder and the pitch gets crisper that they might have to readjust their footwear at half-time. Good evening, Andy Gray.
Good evening, Martin. Good evening, everyone. Yes, talking about the pitch, walking on it earlier, there is a very, very firm strip straight down the middle of the pitch from goal end to goal end. But apart from that, both sides away from the centre circle, that kind of width is a very, very good surface. But as you say, as the temperature drops, it may be that the players do change at half-time.
Handball there by the Aldershot captain, Charlie Henry, who's one of the two strikers, up with David Puckett. Wherever we go these days, we seem to come across a Czechoslovakian goalkeeper. Following Jan Steškal of Queen's Park Rangers, it's Ludek Mikloško, who's done so well in almost a year here now. Famed for the length of his clearances. A very tall man. George Paris, great servant to West Ham, currently doing duty in the middle of midfield, where he'll be alongside Robson. Jimmy Quinn through the middle, Good covering from right back by Kevin Brown. Aldershot are the type of team that likes to get the ball down and play. And it was good to hear their manager Len Walker saying before the kick-off that he was pleased that the pitch wasn't frozen solid, that it wasn't going to be a lottery.
Yeah, and it must be nice for Len Walker, particularly tonight. I bet this is the first time this season where he's been able to send out his team in such a relaxed frame of mind. It really is all about cup romance for them tonight. No one expects them to get the result, and they're just going to go and enjoy themselves of that, I'm sure, but very determined to do themselves proud.
Well, they'll have to cope with the left-sided thrust of Stuart Slater, who's such a fine individual player on the left-hand side for West Ham. Slater fouled. Peter Hucker pondering. Slater's cross, and it veers away from Quinn at the far post. We talked about Ian Stewart being a Northern Ireland international, but Slater was looking for another Jimmy Quinn then. Here's Lee Cooper, who played in an FA Cup semi-final for Plymouth back in 1984, the year when Andy Gray collected his FA Cup winners' medal.
What a good memory, Mark.
Plymouth, you might remember too, had lost to Watford in that semi-final. Ian Stewart trying to get into the picture on the far side. When you look at Aldershot's record, they have a good touch in front of the opposing goal, but they have been very leaky defensively. It's very odd that they drew 0-0 here. 2-2, 3-3, you might have expected.
But that's the beauty of the Cup. It really doesn't matter what the record says, does it, defensively? They know they only have to defend well tonight. They're going out there thinking, oh, we need one good defensive game from us, from the guys at the back. Another superb performance from Peter Hucker, and who knows, it just may be our night.
And Aldershot really just glad to be alive after being close to extinction back in the summer. In fact, the players really weren't properly prepared in the pre-season, and that's why their league form was so disastrous early on. They won only one of their first 15 games in the 4th division, but they've won 3 of the last 5, which is a good platform for cup success. And Stuart Robson is in difficulties straight away. He slid in a challenge on Jerry Williams. No one has seen the trainers more often than Robson over the past couple of years. He came back into the side after a lengthy absence at the end of last season, when West Ham were going well in the Littlewoods Cup, as it was then.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be all right, Martin. It did take a nasty knock there, but I think just stunned him a little bit. It'll take him a couple of minutes. It might feel a little, in fact, it does look a little bit groggy. It may be the time for some smelling salts to come out under that nose.
Robson goes on. Glenn Burville, who was an apprentice here at West Ham, to take the free kick, actually played in an FA Youth Cup winning side for West Ham, and has been acting as the local guide around the back streets of the East End to make sure that the team coach got here in proper time.
I could have done with him earlier on this evening, Martin, as I was trying to find the ground as well.
Yes, it's not a place for Scotsmen. Here's Chris Hughton. More on him later, because he's got a great FA Cup pedigree. It's a free kick that Robson takes quickly to Tim Breaker. Breaker again. Morley on the stretch. Chris Hughton had a spell here on loan from Spurs, and then the transfer formally completed. 3 FA Cup final appearances, twice a winner in the early 80s. Tony Gale preventing the corner. And Aldershot settling into the game. Cooper. It's David Puckett who spun into the cross. There's one of the big Mikloshko clearances, which Quinn got to, and then John Flower came in strongly for Aldershot. Here's Slater, Houghton. So far, as we keep an eye on the balance of the players, which will be the barometer really for how the pitch is faring. Aldershot putting their passes together well, and very nearly a chance for Charlie Henry. Good movement in the build-up, and Henry coming in on the near side.
Yeah, it's a good little ball in by Burville, and Henry gets himself free, and it really is just half a chance. It's one of them, he swung his leg, it was bounced up nastily for him. But had he got it across goal, could have caused problems, but a promising start from Aldershot.
Here's Slater. Burville. Gale across. Always a player with a fine pedigree, and it's always been the West Ham way here to pass the ball sweetly. And they love to get the runners in from midfield. Aldershot trying to match that style with some thoughtful play of their own. Robson will get to it, and he was taken down. The culprit was Mark Ogley, who'd come out of the back line and followed through, I think aware that there might have been a problem behind him. Quinn jumping and using a hand. Mark Ogley from Barnsley. Such has been the parlous financial situation at Aldershot that they've really only got the 13 senior players involved tonight available for this game, but they do hope that the financial position will improve as a result of these 2 cup ties against West Ham, and who knows, maybe more to come.
Yes, I think Woking have already shown us in this FA Cup this year that we cannot presume that home sides, even though they're top of the second division, have got a divine right to get through to the next round.
Nice of you to mention Woking, Andy.
I thought you'd like that.
Put out by Brown. Aldershot currently 20th in the 4th division, taking on the team that hopes to be promotion bound to the 1st. And Robson is still struggling. Howard King has recognised that, and one hopes this isn't going to be just a brief encounter with the starting lineup for Stuart Robson. He came back as a substitute at Watford on Saturday.
You can imagine he won't want to go fully, as you say, his first starting game of the season, and Stuart Robson won't want to. You can see he's reluctant to go, but I think the physio there having the final word and saying, listen, we're not taking any chances at all. Whether it'll be an immediate substitution we'd like to see, or whether they'll have a little look at him. Maybe they'll let the doc have a look at him and just assess how badly he is.
There's a lot of know-how on the West Ham bench. Ian Bishop, who has been captaining the side, who came here from Manchester City in the deal with Trevor Morley, is a substitute. And Frank McAvenny is also on the bench, but Billy Bonds wants to have a good look at the situation himself, and he'll obviously take medical advice. Williams with the header out of play. High challenge in which the contact was made by Kevin Brown only with the ball. Paris with the cross, and Hucker came not with full conviction as Morley sensed perhaps a chance to add to his 11 goals so far this season.
I certainly felt there was a slight suspicion of offside as it comes in, but Peter Hucker, as you not with great conviction, but just does enough.
So West Ham down to 10 men at the moment. Well met by Williams. Paris. Gale. It's another corner. Keen to take the corner again. Gale got to it. Really just by standing his ground, and I think he was offering a word of complaint that he might have been nudged as well.
Yeah, I think a little bit 6 of one, half a dozen of the other matches. But Tony Gale was very pleased to see the cameras here tonight in the game live. So much so that he was saying to you and I before the game he was hoping to get involved in some free kicks to get his first goal of the season.
Williams. Brown. David Puckett in a bit too much of a hurry. He's played First Division football with Southampton. Paris. That's a fine ball, and here's Morley. West Ham's first real chance. They've taken it. Trevor Morley in the 15th minute. West Ham a man light, but a goal up.
Well, they've been caught again, haven't they? It's the same ball. Trevor Morley almost got in. The same ball from Joe. Beautiful ball inside the full-back. And as Trevor Morley comes through, he's got plenty of time. Not always easy. Peter Hucker makes himself big. Commits himself a little bit too early, and that's enough for Trevor Morley to tuck it beautifully in the corner.
Well, George Paris is known as a grafter in midfield, a tackler. But my word, he produced a pass of real penetration then. Ian Bishop is back for West Ham after missing 8 matches with injury. And poor Stuart Robson. Your heart really goes out to him. He's waited half a season to start a senior game for West Ham, and his participation didn't last the opening 15 minutes. The only consolation for him is that West Ham now lead. Stewart.
Yes, and now the questions are asked of the defence that's got the worst record in the 4th Division, Martin. And will their confidence be dented so much so that they collapse now? Very important 5 or 10 minutes for Aldershot as far as the whole game is concerned.
Yes, Len Walker feared falling behind. That may seem an obvious thing to say, but it really makes the point, Andy, that you were emphasising, that he's not sure of his players in real adversity. That's swept on beautifully first time by Slater for Quinn. West Ham hoping to firmly put the 4th Division team in their place. Away by Flower, and now Williams. Gale. Well, there was no offside, and I must say on that occasion Morley certainly looked offside from our vantage point. And the linesman does flag now with the ball out of play. confirmation that Stuart Robson has left the match through concussion. But it's not serious enough, we understand, for him to have to go to hospital now.
Well, I'm sure that's good news for Stuart Robson himself, and it's not a serious injury, but one he'll get over in a couple of days and be back there fighting for his place again.
As you can see, it's been a good few days for Trevor Morley. Slater. Paris. Back from Burville, who was born at Canning Town, just a few miles away from here. And another local boy, George Paris, has certainly provided the pass of the match. Bishop. Ian Bishop certainly a follower of his own particular fashion when it comes to hairstyles.
Well, I don't know, for a minute I thought Paul Walsh had somehow sneaked into this West Ham side as he came running on. They obviously visit the same barber, or should I say don't visit the same barber.
I know he had it long in his days when he was an apprentice at Everton, and Howard Kendall on one occasion I think took the scissors to Ian Bishop.
I think he was around at that time as well, Martin.
And Billy Bonds, of course, known to wear his hair quite long himself, so he can hardly complain. Paris is everywhere at the moment, fed by Morley. A return pass. Well, it needed maybe a real goal poacher in the middle then. Quinn was waiting at the far side. It was touched behind for a corner. It's a deep one from Keane, not quite deep enough for Quinn. Bishop. That's met by Flower, helped out by Henry. Puckett. Trying to get Adrian Randall breaking from midfield. And Randall is a player who's attracting the attention of First Division scouts. He's a very shy man, but he's a stylish player. Williams. And here is Randall trying to show us what he's made of. He can hit the ball with either foot. And that was just a little illustration of the point I was making. He's a natural footballer.
Yes, and the West Ham players were particularly impressed with Adrian Randall in the first game, speaking to one or two of them before the game, and they were really concerned about getting him tight, and they have kept him pretty quiet up till now, but he will want to impose himself on the game, and it's vitally important that both him and Glenn Burville do get to grips with West Ham in midfield, because the way Josh Paris has started, he looks like he wants to run things in there.
Slater. Three waiting in the centre for West Ham. Furthest is Keane. Well, Kevin Keane setting out on another cup trail, and Wembley very much in his family, because his father Mike collected the League Cup at Wembley for Queen's Park Rangers in 1967, when Kevin in fact was just 1 week old. And of course West Ham have come so close in that League Cup, losing semi-finalists in the last 2 seasons, when they've been paired in the semi-final with teams with artificial surfaces. Oldham last year, Luton the year before, and who do West Ham play if they get through this? Well, it's away to Luton again. Not too happy about that. Gale with the header, on from Paris. Quinn. Pinch back for Aldershot by Randall, who takes on Tim Breaker. This really is a great setting for cup tie football in particular. Intimate ground, marvellous atmosphere. Aldershot enjoying being part of it for the second time in a matter of days. Despite the fact that they're a goal adrift, created by George Paris and scored by Trevor Morley.
And you were joking to that young man, weren't you, before the game even started, about him being a midfield playmaker, and he was laughing and saying no, he'll be more of a destroyer, etc. But as you say, what a wonderful pass it was from him to set up the first goal.
Paris first stood as Houghton got his head to the ball initially. Randall, and West Ham have neglected him, and he plays a fine pass because of that to Stewart. Ian Stewart against Breaker, and a corner to Aldershot. Ian Stewart has the kind of personality that might rise to the big occasion. Never the most predictable of players. Kloshko using his height. It's a little push on Slater. Then Walker on the left. Chin on hands. Slater. Here's Stewart. Puckett going ahead of him. Henry through the middle. And Stewart not quite executing the pass, and the linesman raising the flag against Keenan.
Well, they do take a chance, Aldershot, in that respect, Martin. They do push up and try and squeeze the game and play this offside trap. But what they haven't quite got it right, and that's why they were caught. One or two of their players just aren't coming out in a line, and it's a very, very dangerous ploy to use if you haven't got it exactly right. West Ham have exploited it once, and it looks like they could exploit it again.
West Ham were furious with the number of times they got caught offside in the first game, but they've already got in behind to great effect. Coming up to 25 minutes gone, third round replay of the FA Cup. And West Ham must be careful with David Puckett around. Bournemouth, his previous club, they had to rebuild his knee to rebuild his career. And Aldershot have been the beneficiary of that. Henry. Houghton forward. Burbill. Now Williams, and Chrissy Houghton was a little on the late side then. Jerry Williams playing wide on the right of the Aldershot midfield. Burbill taking the free kick. Henry trying to make something happen. It drops for Williams. And David Puckett turned then. Had he taken it on another stride, well, it really would have been an opening for Aldershot. He was anxious to get his shot away, perhaps too anxious.
Yes, sometimes you have more time than you think in that area. It's a great little ball in from Jerry Williams. As you quite rightly say, he had room to take it on and probably slot it. It got trapped a little bit under his feet, and that made he stubbed the shot into the ground a little bit. But this last 5 minutes can only have given Aldershot confidence.
David Puckett, who's the joint top scorer in the 4th division with Walsall's Stuart Rimmer, another player we've seen in our FA Cup coverage on the Sports Channel. Got through to Puckett again. Stewart. And Aldershot giving West Ham more than one or two problems at the moment. Randall. Williams has a nice shape to their play. If they can get sufficient share of the ball, and they're doing that in this spell. Puckett going for the near post, and Williams in trying to whip it in. Overhit it, and just explains his problem to a rather disappointed David Puckett.
I think the Aldershot lads will be enjoying this game, Mark. In the 4th division, they're not used to playing against teams that actually like to play themselves. You mentioned earlier that they do try and knock the ball about. I think we've seen signs of that already. So they'll be enjoying playing against a team like West Ham, who also like to enjoy their football.
Quinn. Here's Slater. Finding a route infield. It's a terrific run and a memorable goal for West Ham United from Stuart Slater.
Well, just when Aldershot were having their best spell of the game, really, a good little spell, Stuart Slater destroys them with this. It's not quite the same, but reminds me of starts in the same position as a famous Roberto Baggio did in the World Cup, and works the same kind of run, takes it from further out, but the finish is equally as good. That's a superb goal from Stuart Slater.
Coming in the 29th minute, and West Ham had the cushion of a second goal at a time where their 1-0 lead was looking a little fragile. They've great hopes for Slater here, but Ray Stewart, one of the senior West Ham players who's been afflicted by injury over the past year, was saying before the game he doesn't get many goals, but when he does, they're ones that you'll never forget. He's got a lovely individual streak to his game. Morley, Paris, and West Ham well rewarded here for getting the pitch in such splendid condition in difficult circumstances, and the ball ran true for Slater, whose control was superb, and he took the shot perhaps a little earlier than Peter Hucker was expecting as he made his move off his line.
But destroyed him with just sheer blinding pace at the outset, Martin. He left 2 or 3 defenders in his wake.
And West Ham, who will point the finger at themselves, because though they've been winning games, they haven't really been destroying teams, apart from one occasion here earlier in the season in the 2nd division when they put 7 past Hull City. But the finishing touches here tonight.
Yes, and having got 2 goals now in the first 25, 27 minutes, Mark, I'm sure Billy Bonds as a manager will be looking for his team now to show that mean streak and go out and get 3, 4, 5, 6, as many as possible tonight.
Cooper. Puckett showing well. Keane winning it back for West Ham. Quinn. Plenty to the left of Ian Bishop. Houghton over the top for the midfield run from Bishop. Slater. Morley. And now Paris. Well, it was hard for Aldershot to get a challenge in. Almost a feeling of frustration there from Ogley.
Yes, at the moment, West Ham's touch on the ball and the movement off it is just too much for Aldershot. They really have got to dig in deep now.
Gale has come up, Quinn is there, and was unselfishly guiding it down, probably actually stole in a little too quickly and found himself in front of the ball. Jimmy Quinn, who's been one of football's great nomads, but he scored goals wherever he's been. And Billy Bonds would be feeling pretty content with life. Quinn. We've talked about Billy Bonds being in 2 FA Cup winning sides for West Ham. Ronnie Boyce scored the winning goal in the 1964 FA Cup final for this club when they beat Preston. And it just shows again how they are a family here, and the old players have been incorporated into the management structure. Here's Burbill, one former player who didn't really make the grade, although he's earned a good living out of the game in the lower divisions. Morley, Keane. Well, sometimes this pitch looks a little smaller than it actually is because of the steep-sided nature of the stands. Andy, you've played on it. Did you feel enclosed?
Very much so, but I think that was one of the joys of coming to Upton Park and playing here, especially in a night game. And I've always felt when the crowd are right on top of you, there was a special atmosphere about being here at this time in the evening, much more so than a Saturday, and it was always one of my favourite grounds to come and play at.
And no doubt you scored here.
Well, I won't say no more than that. Modesty forbids me.
Burbill with the free kick. Henry gets it down, but only as far as Paris. Tim Breaker. West Ham finding space to express themselves. But oddly, this defence, which has served them so well in the second division, have had one or two creaky moments. Don't forget they are lacking the likes of Alvin Martin and Julian Dix and Colin Foster, not to mention Ray Stewart. Bishop. Well, it was a great idea. In fact, Ian Stewart put his side in trouble. Paris trying to blast it in. Aldershot haven't dealt fully with the danger, which increases every time Slater wants to take them on. He's past Brown, and Paris has thumped in the third, courtesy of Slater.
Well, if there's ever a player so far deserved a goal, it's been George Paris. His performance has been quite magnificent up to now, but Stuart Slater does extremely well there, and that's a tremendous finish from Paris. Knows he just has to put his foot on it. All the pace is on the cross, doesn't have to do anything except guide it, and that's a good finish.
3-0 provided by the number 3, who's been a strong man in midfield. Keane, Slater. Aldershot won't thank me for reminding you, but earlier this season they were beaten 10-1 in a Leyland Daff match at Southend. And there's going to be a booking here for the player who brought Slater down, Ogley. It's not his first offence of the half. Quinn. That's a push by Morley.
I think the big difference this game has been the midfield performance of the 4 lads across the middle, Keane, Bishop, Paris and Slater, who have all been absolutely tremendous, have started the game tremendously well. Aldershot would have wanted to have made that a dogfight in there, tried to have sort of made the game very, very bitty and sort of broken up a little bit. They didn't allow them to, West Ham, and have played magnificently in there.
And Williams with a second chance at the cross, and that was Burbill. And Aldershot really now with absolutely nothing to lose, trying to show off the attacking side of their game. which is by no means barren. Cooper. And again. It's a good game for Ian Bishop to come back to. Certainly not fully match fit, nor is Frank McAvenny, but he'd be very glad to get on if he gets the chance.
Please go to the police forward reception to collect a lost child. Thank you.
Certainly if it carries on in this vein, then you certainly think that he'd be desperate. He'll have hit your feet there thinking, I'm sure I could have got one or two. And the strikers that are even playing will be bitterly disappointed. Jimmy Quinn, if he doesn't get on the score sheet, I know what the feeling's like when you play the underdogs or a team from a lower division and your team get 4 or 5 goals and you're not on the sheet. You really feel disappointed.
It's Quinn on the ball. And the crowd disappointed that the pass didn't go to Slater. They want him involved. Here he is now. Bishop. Gale joining in. And West Ham able to pick their passes to feet and open Aldershot up again. This is superb, and Bishop might still finish it, and has done. Well, that's one of those goals where you really want to count the passes. It was Ian Bishop who eventually deposited it past Peter Hucker.
Yeah, the West Ham stamp all over it, didn't it? Close into play, 1-2s, great running off the ball. You just think for a minute he's wasted his chance, but he's alive enough to take another touch and put in a great shot from a very tight angle.
And Aldershot really, spectators just as us.
And you really must fear for Aldershot when you see West Ham in this type of form, Martin, what the second half has in store for them if they keep up this tempo and the pace in the game.
It's an avalanche already. And the second half could seem very long indeed for the 4th Division team. Handball, was it? The linesman flagged. Howard King, with a vote of sympathy, had let the game go on. Although the 2 games have been played on this ground, Aldershot technically at home in the first game, got the reasonable result, and West Ham technically and environmentally at home in the replay, and it's going to form. Slater, who's played such a major part in scoring and setting up. And John Flower, the jitters getting to them at the back now. He's on loan, incidentally, from Sheffield United. Houghton. Breaker. Randall. Stewart confronted by Keane. Lee Cooper with a throw. Bishop. And then Henry, too strong in the tackle, first of all for Gale and then for Potts. Breaker was able to recover for West Ham. And Aldershot will be left to reflect on a couple of fleeting chances at 1-0, which could have given us a different tale to tell for you. Since then, though, they've been swamped. Really, that second goal provided by the surging run from Stuart Slater has given the difference in league status between these two sides a bearing in the FA Cup as well.
Just thinking about Billy Bonds as well, that managers are always saying that they can never enjoy the game until it's actually over, but I'm pretty sure that this second 45 minutes will be the most enjoyable that Billy Bonds has sat through.
And maybe more to come before half-time. Keane just played a little wide by Morley's pass to Kevin Keane, which took the sharpness out of that particular attack, but we can hardly complain at the entertainment level that West Ham have provided. True to their traditions. Burville brought down, although Harris thinks that Glenn Burville dived. A minute plus stoppage time remaining in the first half. Randall prepared to have a crack. Oh, and he's got a goal! Courtesy of a howler by Mikloško. It might have swerved, but not enough for that sort of fumble.
I think you've been very kind there, Mark, when you say it might have swerved. Ludo Mikloško, I'm sure, will be furious, and so will Billy Bonds. I mean, that's food and drink for a goalkeeper in the junior leagues, never mind in the second division in England, and he really should have saved that. I can only think sheer complacency on his behalf there.
And Aldershot have scored, and it's Adrian Randall who got a shock reward, really, for keeping his head up and accepting the responsibility of shooting, even though his team are already well beaten in this cup tie. Well, it's been an eventful first half at Upton Park. And West Ham will want to make their point straight away after a real moment of slackness by their goalkeeper. Randall was almost embarrassed. And certainly Mikloško was. Here's Keane. Flower having to scrape it behind again. Well, whatever language, he made a mess of it. Oh, and it was Quinn coming in from Tony Gale's back header.
Well worked little corner, isn't it? I think it's Tony Gale gets a good flick on. Jimmy Quinn coming in, searching, and I'm sure that's another corner. I think actually it's John Flower that gets the final touch. Howard King just a little bit caught out there.
Flower having problems with the bounce. We're in time added on now for the problem that saw Stuart Robson go off before the goal started to flow. George Paris made the first and scored the third, and Stuart Slater embroidered the half with a marvellous individual run and also troubled Aldershot every time he was in possession. Morley and Bishop the other scorers, but just a little of the gloss taken off the first half show for West Ham by Mikloško's error that gave brave Aldershot at least a goal to savour here at Upton Park. But at half-time, it's West Ham United 4, Aldershot 1.
Only Heineken can do this.
Meteorite storm! Scotty, beam us up! Scotty! Scotty!
Don't worry, Captain. It's only a shower.
I don't need a brolly, you wally! Beam us up!
Captain, I haven't got the power.
Try, man, try. Power! More power!
Man's power, man. Uh-oh. Start again.
Well, he certainly hasn't got the power. Good afternoon. But you could have national power and power gen. To register for a prospectus in the generating company's share offers, call 0272 272 272. From the Academy Award-winning director of Rocky.
One more round.
Sylvester Stallone, Rocky 5.
Happiness is a cigar called Hamlet, the mild cigar.
Welcome back. We wanted some goals. We're getting them. West Ham 4, Aldershot 1. Trevor Morley with the opener. David O'Leary inside the opening quarter of an hour.
Yes, good goal. I think West Ham were trying to work it, as Andy says in the commentary. They push up very square, put a ball inside the left back. He's ball watching a little bit. Trevor Morley makes a great run, beats the offside trap, and goes through and puts her away very nicely.
Took it well, didn't he?
Took it well. Peter Hooker, maybe if you want to be really nasty, maybe for a fraction more he could have stood up and made it a lot harder. But it was well set up. They just got through on the same thing just before that. This is a great run from Slater's like an Alan Devonshire for them, and as Andy said before, replica the Baggio goal in the World Cup.
Good positive run, and this is 3-0. George Paris, who created the first, had a good first half, didn't he?
Yes, tremendous, and quite deservedly so. Got a tremendous goal, and again Slater sets it up tremendously well for him.
What about Stuart Robson, who was with you at Arsenal, had a terrible time with injuries? I think he was your roommate, wasn't he?
Yes, I mean, but that has summed up Stuart's bad luck, really. He had it his last couple of years at Arsenal. Since he's gone to West Ham, everybody knows he's a tremendous player, but it's just getting a consistent run of games under his belt. He's just come back from another long layoff, and he's been unvery lucky again tonight. Happily,
it's only concussion, we hear. We wish him well. At the fourth West Ham goal, Ian Bishop, who came on to replace him.
Well, typical West Ham. I mean, great passing football. With the lower division teams, I think defensively, you've got to stay with your man, and I think if you look at the defenders here, they haven't done that. But I thought he'd lost his chance in Bishop in his touch getting through, but he made up for it and went around the keeper and took it away tremendously well.
Well, here we go. It started out on this left-hand side at some point.
A lovely ball. Tony Gale looks up. Morley brings Ian Bishop back into it. He's looking to play it through. He gets it, goes. Fella doesn't stay with him. He's going again. Nearly loses it here. And as I say, goes round him, left-footed, not his good foot, and ticks her in nicely on a bad angle.
Great awareness.
Yes, and...
Now, this has happened to the best goalkeepers in the world, hasn't it? This is Aldershot's goal.
This has really just got to come down to being very sloppy. The keeper has hardly been in the game, and really, I mean, all the top goalkeepers, you've got to keep yourself, concentrate very well, and I don't think he has there. And I'd say Billy Bonds will be speaking to him a little bit about that.
I should think so. Adrian Randall, 4-1. I remember Ray Clements telling me that happened to him at Anfield once. He called wide. Not many in the ground. They all heard the call, and it went in, of course. Very embarrassing. Live second half very shortly. Right now, let's have a look at some snooker. We were enjoying a match between Neil Foulds and John Parrott, Warren King and John Campbell, a doubles match from the World Masters at the NEC a little earlier. Parrott and Foulds were leading by 3 frames to 1. Let's have a look at frame 5. King is at the table. They're trailing 35-0.
One.
Yes, Warren moving more fluently around the table. That's when he's dangerous. He's got a bit of a problem there with the red near the black spot. Doesn't help him in break building purposes. Would rather not have that red there. Red into the right-hand top pocket, but he'll be going away from the black if he pots that red.
Nine.
Warren King, 35 years old, and though he was born in Sydney, now lives in Bramall, Stockport area. So many professionals get up into the northwest and they come from overseas or even from remoter parts of England because that's where they get the competition.
14.
After that 97 break in the 4th frame that pulled the Australians back, Warren King looking to improve.
15.
Lovely controlled screw shot there, hitting the white ball, the bottom area, imparting backspin on the white. And this is a great patch of snooker so far by Warren. He hasn't missed for quite a few minutes.
$21. $22.
Back on the black now. And Warren dislodging
29.
the red near the black spot. Now potable in both corner pockets.
$30. $37. $38.
Lovely control by Warren King. Released the red that wasn't potable
45.
near the pink. And left himself on this red with the left-hand top pockets.
46.
And there's Warren's second consecutive break of over 50.
51.
You said earlier, rhythm is what it's all about in the doubles game, getting into your rhythm, and he's picking up exactly where he was before the 10-minute break.
Yes. Nice play to watch when he gets going.
52.
And nearing the winning post in this frame. And there's the points left,
57.
43. 22 points the difference. Warren checking the scores for himself.
$58.
Warren needs this last red. It's near the yellow, as you can see. Take a good positional shot here. Off the blue. And that's a great shot. Played the blue with left-hand side, and he'd be delighted with that.
64.
And now Parrott and Folds need snookers. There you
67.
see, only 27 left, 32 the difference.
69.
And suddenly a match that looked as if it was drifting away.
Well, King and Campbell taking that frame to make it 3-2. Parrott and Folds went on to win it 5-2. But as you can see, the players are on the pitch back at Upton Park. 4-1 to West Ham United. Let's rejoin our commentary team, Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Thanks, Richard. Yes, to use the parlance of the indoor game, West Ham building a big break of their own here. 4-1 up as they get the second half underway in this FA Cup third round replay. And Ludek Mikloško may not get the chance to make amends for his mistake that presented Aldershot with a goal here that seems to be no more than consolation. We will see. Henry. Aldershot, who put out Tiverton in the first round, 6-2, and then Maidstone United 2-1 in round 2 to get this fundraising exercise really against West Ham, which is so vital for their future. Here goes Slater. Henry. He's the most wholehearted performer. Good work by Burville, and Stewart gets the ball back for Glenn Burville. Can he get his toe to it? Not quite, because Tony Gale was there in the nick of time. Keane. Bishop found by Paris, challenged by Randall. Andy Gray, how would you expect West Ham to approach the second half with the match really in the bag?
Well, sometimes that can be very, very disappointing second halves, Martin, after your team has come out and they've done the hard work, they've got the lead they wanted. I think the second half is a spectacle, purely depends on how West Ham go about the job. if they go about it the same way they did in the second half, then I think Aldershot are in for a torrid time. The only consolation we probably have in that respect is that Jimmy Quinn, one of the strikers, hasn't scored, so there's one man that won't be slacking in his efforts to get a goal.
The ball's over him here from Breaker's cross. West Ham will have the throw. Keane. Here's Houghton. Ian Bishop getting his head to it. Trevor Morley very nearly took it on, and Burville just plugged the gap. The linesman had kept his flag down.
This is very, very close, and again they've got caught Aldershot trying to come out, but a bit disjointed, but Glenn Burville was wise enough and aware enough to get back in there.
One other factor we must keep an eye on in the second half is just how the pitch deteriorates, if it deteriorates. It certainly hasn't been a real problem. In fact, it's, as we've stressed, it's been a real tribute to the quality of the ground staff, and as you can see, the players still wearing studs. Here's Williams. Bucket coming to the left-hand side. Jerry Williams veers to the right. Well, it's the sort of enterprise that I'm sure Aldershot will try to sustain.
This is very much a matter of pride, you feel, for Aldershot the second half, and I'm sure that Lynn Walker has stressed that fact. If we're going to go out, which undoubtedly they are, then let's go out with a bit of pride and try and keep it to 4-1 or even improve matters. I'm sure that would have been his team talk at half-time.
Randall has to go again, finds Paris in the way, and all the while Breaker had the ball. Bishop. Burville looking left, and Lee Cooper has come up outside of Adrian Randall. Here's Cooper now. Puckett. Trying to get the ball in quickly. Maybe Kevin Brown will be of like mind, but in the end it's a nice pass into the feet of Stewart. Henry battling on. And Chris Houghton can't get it very far away. Puckett! And McClushko wants to stop everything now. It may well have been that would have been a corner. That's played well and refereed well. Quinn was fouled undoubtedly, but Keane in possession. Oh, and it's not deep enough for Morley. Bishop on the scene, wanting a return pass, and Flower made sure that he didn't get it. It was flicked back by Slater. And this tall central defender who's on loan from Sheffield United, John Flower, was aware that he was in trouble.
Yeah, Flowery maybe, but there was no shrinking violet there, was it, Martin?
I'm glad you said that.
He let Ian Bishop know he was around.
So Peter Hackett is back in the firing line at a West Ham free kick. And Jimmy Quinn, anxious to be involved in this, and Tony Gale, as we said earlier, he said if it's live on television, then I want to have a chance of getting a goal. And he tries to take that chance.
Right idea. I mean, he's had it been more in the corners, a bit too central to trouble a goalkeeper like Peter Hooker, but he's shown Tony Gale that anything round the box he wants to be involved in.
And he's a great clipper of free kicks rather than blaster of them. That's very much his favourite technique, and he's put some away for West Ham in the past. And if you want one good reason why West Ham will keep their foot on the accelerator here. Last year they went out of the FA Cup to 4th Division Torquay, and that was pretty painful for them. Memories that needed to be wiped away by an emphatic victory against a team from the same division. Bishop. Now Breaker. And remember, it took West Ham 15 minutes to find the goal touch in the first half. Bishop on for the concussed Stuart Robson. Paris is ruled to be offside, and he'd run a long way, George Paris. It must have been a close call.
But the midfield does look very well balanced, doesn't it now? I know Ian Bishop's only come on as a substitute, but with him wanting to play in there, be the man behind everything, put his passes in, and to have George Paris, the one who's willing and able to get through and get up in contact with the strikers and pass them as he did on that occasion, it really is well balanced in there.
Henry trying to glance it in for Puckett. But Steve Potts, who cleared then, would have played in the centre of midfield alongside Paris if Colin Foster hadn't got injured at Watford on Saturday. So there are a lot of options available to Billy Bonds, despite injuries to his senior players here. And Steve Potts, who we first saw in the West Ham first team, as a right back.
Certainly not the biggest of centre-backs there is in the country, is he, Martin?
Bishop. Morley. And there's no offside, and it's Stuart Slater bearing down on Hucker, but not getting the ball past him. Quinn hasn't kept it in. So the first genuine opening of the second half, and it was Aldershot caught square again.
Yeah, they've diced with death many times and they're caught again. Certainly as a player, I always felt coming through in a one-on-one, goalkeepers 9 out of 10 go down, and if you just lift it, and I'm sure if Stuart Slater had lifted it then, the goal was on.
Well, here's Randall trying to hit back for Aldershot. Steered away by Gale. Morley rather lucky to get away with that. Slater. Stopped by Ogley. With real worry then that Slater might be in behind Aldershot again.
Yes, if you haven't got pace at the back, Martin, you know, to play offside and you're playing against pace, it really is foolish. I mean, Aldershot would be far better dropping deeper, not playing so much offside, and they really wouldn't have had so much to worry about with the pace of Stuart Slater.
Brown. Burville. Neat work from Glenn Burville, and there was only Puckett really in the centre for the cross. It needed a precise ball that Burville was trying to select. Cooper over Houghton, and not quite collected by Williams, who actually collided with the stretcher then in such a painful way that he might have ended up on it. Houghton with a throw. Aldershot trying to pin West Ham in their own half and just cause a flutter here. If they could get a second goal from 4-0 to 4-2 would represent real progress. But it's still as it was at half-time. West Ham United 4, Aldershot 1. And the Aldershot goal, a real gift, presented to Adrian Randall by Ludek Mikloshko.
But their attitude's certainly been positive since half-time, Aldershot. They've obviously decided to come out and have a little go. You know, it's glory or nothing for us. We're 4-1 down, and at least they're making it a game. We wondered about the entertainment. Well, we've certainly had plenty since the second half began.
Bishop. Puckett trying to cut off any back pass, and he's given Bishop a problem in doing that. And Randall sticking to his guns. Burville is there as well. The ball's still in play. Randall's got it, and everyone was attracted to what was going on the far touchline. Keane. George Paris, as you expect, is up there, and Breaker giving the width to this particular attack. Breaker, who not got back into an onside position having taken the throw. It's amazing how often that does happen when the player who's taken the throw does have the real opportunity to look along the line. But of course his eyes on the ball. Good play by Brown to win it initially. Aldershot with 3 to the right, and they have a corner. They'll certainly send John Flower up there. He'll have to get there quickly. This is Williams. George Paris, who brought the ball out of defence then, is really a great example for young players. Early in his professional career it seemed certain that West Ham were going to sell him. Southend was one club mentioned in the lower leagues, but Paris had his own self-belief. And he's served his first love proud, particularly tonight. It's a West Ham corner. Gale, and Morley from 5 yards, but with no time really to be absolutely certain of where the goal was.
No, but it's a corner they worked in the first half, and it's Tony Gale again. It's a great flick. I'd like to have seen Trevor Morley take that on his left foot. For me, he's taking it with his wrong foot, trying to direct it with the outside of his right foot. It'd be far better if he'd have tried with his left.
Half an hour left, unless of course Aldershot stage one of the revivals of the season, which would take us to extra time.
I think half an hour left's a safe shout, man.
Keane. Breaker might be played in here if West Ham can actually settle enough on the ball. Morley couldn't. Stewart's taken it from him. Simple for Gale though. Quinn and Paris do the plotting. Morley's through the middle, but it will run on for Hucker. There was no flag, and that was absolutely right from the linesman. Burville. Just skipped away from David Puckett. West Ham, who've lost only once in the second division this season. They're out of the Rumbelows Cup, of course, but out by Oxford, and they lost 5-1, which they won't want to be reminded of, in the Zenith with a weakened side at Luton, where they will be going to in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Barring accidents, that is. Barring miracles, you might say. Keane. corner. Now, will it be the same routine towards Gale at the near post? Well, Gale comes further away from the goal. This is Slater. That's Morley trying to arrive in the right place. Gale. Can West Ham fashion a real chance at the end of this? And they've had to come backwards to go forwards again. Breaker trying to supply Quinn. Not only has Jimmy Quinn not got a goal, but of course Frank McAvenny, I think they will want to give him some match action after his injury problems. It's a couple of weeks since until West Ham reserves have another game, and Billy Bonds was telling me before the match that was the real reason that Bishop and McAvenny were involved tonight.
And the situation is ideal now to say to Frank, go on, have 20-25 minutes. Actually won't surprise me at all if the scoreline stays the same, or if West Ham increase their lead, to see Frank McAvenny stripped off and into action, Martin. It would be the right thing to do if you're a manager.
But McAvenny still amongst the spectators at the moment. Burden. Here comes Randall again. And he'll certainly be prepared to try another shot if he gets the opportunity from outside the penalty area. Well, that will be a corner, I think, off the back of Flower's head. John Flower not too happy about the decision, but having been booked, rather foolish of him to question it. Gale's up there again. Keane with the corner. Stewart with the clearing header, but Aldershot supported him. Williams. Well, that was the right idea, but Bishop catching Aldershot pushing out. Keane was made to check back, which gave Aldershot an extra second or two to recover collectively. Keane's cross, not Quinn this time. Flashback across goal from Slater.
I think that's just a measure of the confidence the young man's playing with, Mark, that he's prepared to try even from this tight angle and that far away. Looked very much as if there could have been a handball involved there as well. But that's the confidence of Stuart Slater, prepared to try from there.
Yes, Jimmy Quinn was certainly distracted in the centre. Aldershot playing here for their pride and for their bank manager. Quinn. And Bishop hounded by Stewart. Randall. It's well played, and Williams can just keep it in. Trying to make half a yard to get his cross in, guided back to Randall by Packett, and applause for Aldershot again.
Well, we've complimented West Ham in keeping the ball and passing it about, but that was an example there of patience from Aldershot, and a great ball in from Jerry Williams. Didn't look to just knock it in, but played it deliberately, and that's Adrian Randall coming on, and just not quite. I'm sure he felt if he'd have got it on target he could have been in business again. But it's been a much better balanced second half in respect that Aldershot have been far more in it as an attacking force.
And all credit as Flower tangles with Morley. All credit to David Puckett, who roared across the penalty area to reach that cross from Jerry Williams and to guide it off so splendidly. And it's Puckett flicking the ball on as he was fouled. You can see why Puckett's been such a consistent scorer for Aldershot. His movement in the penalty area, it's the sort of thing that Gary Lineker will talk about if you ask him about how goals come. Kloshko finds Keane. Quinn. Keane's gone on, there were three to the right. Keane might have been offside for a second, but the linesman didn't see it that way. This is Breaker. And now Bishop. It's a good jump by Morley. Paris. This is Keane chasing, and Hucker dummying. Peter Hucker was actually signed from Millwall, where he was struggling to get a game in their reserve team. And I don't think he'd mind me telling you that he took a cut in wages just to play regularly. He could have seen out his contract at Millwall and been financially better off. Oh, my word. Now, that could be the end of the night for Flower, already booked. And he nearly cut Slater in two then. And it's got to be red. At very best, it was a rash challenge in the circumstances. And Stuart Slater has hurt Aldershot again by his nippiness. He was too quick for Flower. And I should think that goes down, Andy, as a second yellow card equaling the red.
Yes, I don't think that would have been a direct sending off, but if you just watch it.
Oh, Paris has hit the post. Morley, is anyone going to round this off? Not quite.
Yes, I'm sure if he hadn't been booked, then I'm not so sure he would have been sent off. But it is a bookable offence. It does. Oh, and that's an awful challenge. Stuart Slater just does him with pace there, and I don't think John Flower can have any reason to be upset with that decision from the referee. I think the referee on that occasion is quite right.
So the romance of the third round of the FA Cup is well and truly over for Aldershot. It's the harsh reality now of being 4-1 down, playing with 10 men against most capable opposition, and you sense that any second it could be 5-1. "20 minutes to go." Bishop. Here's Gale. It's a matter now for West Ham to maintain their application and maintain their concentration as well. Gale. Possibly didn't answer that call then. Cooper. And Henry was rather jumping into the goalkeeper. But after Mikloshko's fumble to present Aldershot with their goal, Henry might have been well advised just to let Mikloshko take it and not foul him. Kept in well by Slater. He set up Morley, who wanted too long, and Slater, who was particularly unselfish then, very nearly got a second chance. Breaker. Tim Breaker has a line of 4 teammates across the pitch, and Bishop can use Houghton. Potts. His eyes lighting up. chance to come forward. Houghton. Scuffed away to the corner by Brown. Aldershot have pulled everyone back except David Puckett. Over Gale this time. Keane had got back from taking the corner into an onside position. Houghton. And still it's tantalising for Jimmy Quinn. The crosses just not quite into his path.
Yes, if it's one of those nights when it's just not going to be your day, even though he's getting in there, the crosses are dropping either just a bit short or just a bit too long. Frustrating time for a striker. You do feel it's going to be a torrid 15 minutes or so left for Aldershot. They found it hard enough to get the ball off West Ham when they had 11 men. You do feel that this side are good enough to make them pay with a man extra now.
Aldershot do have an experienced defender, Mark Whitlock, who played in the First Division for Southampton, as one of their substitutes, and to preserve their pride, they might bring him on. Here's Breaker. Quinn repositions in the centre again, and it gets to him this time. Not exactly as he would have liked it, though. Houghton. Scrambled away by Randall to Burville. David Puckett is going off, and Mark Whitlock comes on, so Whitlock plugs the gap left by the red card for Flowers. And Dale Banton on the left of the picture there is the other Aldershot substitute who played in West Ham's first team in the early 80s. I'm sure would love to reappear again at Upton Park, but perhaps not in these circumstances. "15 minutes left, and it's West Ham United 4, Aldershot 1. All the goals coming in the first half. And the main talking point in the second half, although there can hardly be any real debate about it, the sending off of the Aldershot defender, John Flower. Paris. Morley challenging with Brown, who showed plenty of vigilance in defence. Just the opportunity now for West Ham to try and ice the cake, really. Bishop. Paris. Now Potts. That lovely acceleration that Slater has. Well, he's West Ham trained, Glenn Burville, and I think you could have noted that from the calm way he defended. Randall. Just impeded by Bishop. Stewart. Now Quinn. What can West Ham put together through Breaker here? And Aldershot, to their credit, still fighting hard. And Whitlock with Burville. And Henry is offside.
Yes, you can't fault the Aldershot for their commitment and their determination to at least make a game of it. But I think it's been quite clear second half that West Ham have taken a foot off the throttle slightly. They've been quite content to coast the second half. If another goal's been going to come along, they would have taken it. But they haven't been busting a gut, so to speak, to go and look for one.
Quinn, aware of Slater's proximity. Paris, plenty of room to line up the shot. And here come Aldershot on the break. Stewart. Cooper scuttling up to the left, but Stewart looking to Randall. And Ian Stewart, who certainly showed a flair for the spectacular in his heyday. Not always the easiest player to manage, one would think. Morley. Off goes Keane, but the return pass blocked by Whitlock. Slater picked out by Bishop. Keane. Paris. And the 10 men of Aldershot doing the 4th Division club proud at the moment. And Burville still looking to attack. Quinn. Keane. And now Quinn. Really the way it's gone for West Ham in the second half. It's been a nearly half for them. They've hit the post through Paris. They've promised plenty. But if they thought Aldershot would simply lay down and die, they've been sadly mistaken. Ten minutes left. Burville. And Randall, who have maintained their application in midfield, where Aldershot have really needed them. Brown. There's Slater going to set off here, and these defenders in his wake. Keane. Slater, Morley and Quinn in the middle. Slater turns, shoots, and blocked well by Whitlock.
That certainly would have topped up a wonderful evening for Stuart Slater, who's been involved in almost everything. Every time the ball's arrived at his feet, there's been an air of excitement around the ground. The crowd have been buzzing, felt he was going to do something every time he's been on the ball tonight.
It's a short corner this time for West Ham. Keane. Gale. Has been a situation where they can try the flicks and the tricks. Burville. And again, he might be in trouble there, but it's been a very composed performance from Glenn Burville against his first club. Bishop. And to Aldershot's credit, they've just taken some of the rhythm out of West Ham. But it's Morley in for number 5 here. He is. Ian Bishop was able to lift the long pass with meticulous accuracy that West Ham have struggled really to maintain in the second half.
Yes, it's a super ball from Bishop, and once again that offside trap, it's not quite right, and Trevor Morley lifts a lovely little goal. We were looking for some icing, and this is it. Glorious 50-yard ball, good touch, second one's in the back of the net.
5-1 with 7 minutes to go, and Morley, who started it all off, well, is that the final word from West Ham? Maybe, but then maybe not. It might just reinvigorate their performance for the closing minutes. Stewart. Played forward crisply by Gale to Quinn. Bishop had that understanding with Morley. Remember, they were together at Manchester City. This is Houghton. Keane. Paris. Great running by Keane too. Paris. Oh. Well, you have to feel sorry for Jimmy Quinn because it was set up there for Paris to pick him out at the far post.
Yeah, you're right. Once again, he had a glorious position to Jimmy Quinn. And he must have been thinking, George Paris, he's bound to have seen me, he was bound to be trying to put it up here for me. But George, probably his first mistake of the whole night, puts the ball out for a goal kick.
Houghton. Bishop. Quinn! Well, Aldershot, who conceded 6 goals on Saturday, very close to conceding a 6th here.
Yes, and it's the cross he's been waiting for, Jimmy Quinn. Just gets in front of the defender. It's a good header down across Peter Hooker, and I'm sure had that been on target, Peter Hooker wouldn't have been looking so comfortable. I don't think he'd have got across it.
Well, they haven't quite rewritten the record books. Their biggest ever cup win came in the League Cup as recently as 1983. They hammered Bury here by 10 goals to 0, 4 of them to Tony Cottee. And I suppose there was a thought or two at half-time that double figures might not be out of reach, but Aldershot have shown commendable professionalism and the sort of courage that will help them in their endeavours to get away from the lower reaches of the 4th Division. They can't go out of the league this season, of course, with the restructuring of the clubs going on. Here's Kevin Keane. Well, it's a night where there are a lot of cold hands around Upton Park, but I don't think Peter Hooker will have cold hands. His hands have been very busy. Maybe Mikloshko will blame the English weather for his first half fumble. With no disrespect to Lou Macari in his short time here as manager, the family feel had gone after the sacking of John Lyle. but Billy Bonds back as manager since last February, and it's very much the old West Ham. And they're playing in the way that's been so entertaining down the years. And look at this for Jimmy Quinn, but he's a half a yard short. Or perhaps, to be fair, the pass was just slightly overhit by Stevie Potts. That really has been the story of Quinn's night. Morley, of course, is on a hat-trick. Breaker. And Quinn unselfishly lets it run to Slater. It's Quinn! Yes! The long wait is over. 2 minutes left.
What's nice about it is his teammates are as pleased for Jimmy Quinn as Jimmy Quinn is himself. And he really shouldn't miss from there, and he doesn't. And look, really, I've done it at last.
And if you keep running in there, that's the message, really. The chances will eventually come. And it hasn't been a case of him missing opportunities, really. So in terms of goal scoring, West Ham have come alive again in the latter stages of the second half.
And just thinking of West Ham, this is the kind of boost Billy Bonds would have wanted for his team as well, who are charging along very nicely at the top of the second division. To come home, to play at home and get 6 goals the end of January, it's just the kind of boost you want your team to get in the goal scoring stakes.
But it's not yet equalled their biggest win of the season, which was 7-1 here against Hull City in the second division. But that might shortly be with us. Now Billy Bonds, who's never sought the limelight, was always a tough man to track down as a football reporter to try and get an interview from him. But he realises now that he has to talk to us as manager of West Ham. It's all over, and Aldershot can take heart from the financial reward that they've gained from 2 meetings of very different style against West Ham United here at Upton Park. The first 0-0 11 days ago, but Trevor Morley with 2 goals here has led a resolute West Ham in the replay. Jimmy Quinn got the 6th. But the damage was really done in the first half with that 4-goal flourish. Aldershot blotted their copybook with the sending off of John Flower in the second half. But it's the cheque that goes into their bank account that really matters for them. And West Ham, although they haven't been helped by the draw, they're into the 4th round, where they'll be away to Luton Town. They've done it in style here at Upton Park tonight. They've beaten Aldershot by 6 goals to 1.
When you're working up a hunger, there's only one real McCoy. Extra thick for the biggest, crunchiest home-style chips with a whole lot more potato taste. The real McCoy, the big chip from the big country.
Only Heineken can do this.
Welcome back. 11 goals in our last 2 live FA Cup matches. That's not bad. David, you said there'd be plenty tonight. There was. 6-1.
I'm pleased. As I say, I thought the way Aldershot had been going, that I don't think they could get lucky a second time, and I was pleased to prove right.
Well, the money will be useful. Blotted their copybook, as Martin said. John Flower sent off in that second half. Any complaints about it?
I don't think you can. I mean, if you've been booked anyway, you know, it's very dodgy if you do anything from that, and you've got a very good chance of going anyway, even if you hadn't been booked. I think, as Andy made the point, pace was always worrying them. If I'd have been the Aldershot manager, I'd have made life a lot harder for West Ham by, if you haven't got pace at the back, withdrawing, you know, further down. They're always tempting balls.
Well, they got
behind
caught here. Look, this is exactly what you're saying. This is 5. Trevor Morley about to get his.
I mean, he gets himself out of it. His touch at the start wasn't the greatest, but he finishes it well. But by pushing up to the halfway line, they're always tempting balls over the back of him, and that's what how West Ham got in.
Jimmy Quinn was desperate to get on the score sheet. Don't think he was going to make that.
No way, but Stuart Slater, you know, anytime you get on the ball, things were happening for West Ham, and he puts in a great cross on his left foot, not his best foot, and you know, we've all been asking Jimmy to score there, and thank God he did. It was a great chance.
Where's your heart? I'd have left Flower on big night. They were losing.
I hate to see any player going off, particularly the way it's going in football at the moment. But when you've, as I say, when you've been booked and you commit that foul, I think you've got to go.
All right, Arsenal Leeds, 4th round. A lot of interest in that. You're on the score sheet already in the FA Cup this year, aren't you? Wrong end, mind you.
Unfortunately, the wrong end. I think I chipped. The only thing I can say is I chipped probably the best goalkeeper in England. But as I say, I did apologise to him, and I said, I thought you told me you're the best goalkeeper. Why couldn't you got me out of that? So
some game though, isn't it?
The Leeds game is some game. I mean, in the nicest way you could do without it, but you always hope for a home draw. And I'm a great believer in, if it's your year, you'll go anywhere and do it. And Leeds are going very, very well. They got another great result tonight, and they're going to be, you know, very hard opposition. But you know, we've got to really try and finish it off in the first game. I'd hate to go up to Leeds in a replay.
I was just going to say that all the results in a moment or so, but you wouldn't want to go to Ellen Road, would you?
No, I mean, we're a good enough team to go to a place like that. But I mean, it's the atmosphere there and the way they're going, the crowd get behind them. It'd be very, very hard indeed.
Great to meet you. Thanks for popping in. Thoroughly enjoyed it. David O'Leary. West Ham, 6-1 winners tonight. Let's catch up with all the other football results and the rest of the sport.
Comes down for Strachan. Sterling, he'll have to take them on down that right side, and here's a dangerous cross for Gary Speed, and it might be finished off by McAllister. 2-0 leads. Strachan. And he'll deliver it to McAllister, edge of the area. He'll give it back. Try again. And this is longer. Speed's in for it. 3-0, Gary Speed. It looks as though Leeds are going to come off best. Chapman's got another one. It came from nowhere. A Villa corner though. And it's Ormonroyd. Ian Ormonroyd then, the substitute, gets one back for Villa.
Mabbott beaten in the air by Dixon. Dury! That was a real chance, and Dury knows it. Dixon, well, Dury. Gets it in again, and a very valuable header there by Edinburgh. Knocked in again by Townsend. Oh, mistake there by Mabbott. Dury now, and oh my goodness, it went across the 6-yard goal and way beyond when it looked odds on Chelsea getting that opening goal. Hit long again and accurately, a fine ball by Damien Matthew now for Kerry Dixon. There's a chance here, and it's into the side netting. Now Lestow. He's gone round Fenwick. Dixon's pulled wide for him. And there's the ball for Kerry Dixon. Dury's waiting in the middle for him. Lestow! Kicked off the line, though, by young Justin Edinburgh.
With a nice little trick to make some space for himself, and Alan Shearer's got a real chance. Letitia in support, he doesn't need him. The breakthrough for Southampton, and it's Alan Shearer. Letitia, brilliant control. It's clear of Donaghy. Oh! Lifted it over Seeley, but way over the crossbar too. Robson's header, Hughes, 1-1. Instinctive and unstoppable.
Well, some good action there.
Yeah.
I must say, Euro team Chelsea missed a few chances.
I'll tell you what, they had more chances there than they've had against Tottenham in the last 10 years.
I couldn't believe it.
Believe it. No.
They should have been in that.
Poor old Ken Bates, man. Oh, dear.
Now, wait, the couple of young lads that caught our eye, the two Channel Islanders,
yes.
Matthew Letizia and young Lesseau from
yeah, because there's not many
Chelsea.
come from the old Channel Islands, are there?
Matthew Letizia, a very exciting player, Jim.
Yes.
Scores a lot of goals as well. Unfortunately, on the night he didn't. No. But very exciting player. Runs well with the ball. Good balance. Very strong, aggressive.
Well, he was talked about by us and many others as a World Cup player, wasn't he? Like this time last year. This is beautiful control, isn't it? Superb control. Bloody awful miss.
Yeah, it was an awful miss, but. Young Lesseau now, I like the look of this boy. He's a different style of player, and he's a little tough little, busy player. He leaves Terry Fennett stranded there. I don't think Terry's too fit yet after his leg break. No. But the young boy really would have been a lovely goal for him when the ball was cut back. It was a good chance.
It was a good chance to miss. Lissox is his nickname. Apparently at Chelsea.
Now, last week we were talking about all these matches, and we went for the other teams, didn't you? You went for 4 to get through, I went for the other 4. I've got one team in the draw, Jim, Leeds.
And we've got the rest together in the draw still, haven't we?
Not sorted out as yet.
No, I still think there's a bit to go in all of those games, to be honest, Ian.
Well, you think that you don't think Chelsea have blown it?
No, Chelsea have got a very good record at White Hart Lane. It'll be an interesting game there, I think. I still would not rule out a Chelsea victory there.
Well, funny enough, I saw Tottenham last week playing against the Arsenal, and they missed about 7 or 8 chances. I mean, clear-cut chances. And yet the other night they looked bad. So I mean, their form is a bit iffy.
That's right.
Right.
2 inconsistent sides.
Right. Well, tomorrow's live game on ITV features 2 teams with problems on and off the field. Spurs, in deep financial trouble, are hoping to bounce back and close the gap on a possible UEFA place. Derby County, already staring relegation in the face, are searching for a new owner. The uncertainty of the club's future has been a big talking point this week, so we sent Mark Tyler to investigate.
These are troubled times at the baseball ground, not only on the pitch, where a string of poor results has sent the club tumbling towards the relegation zone, but also behind the scenes. Some supporters are now so unhappy that they're planning a demonstration here in front of the cameras tomorrow. That protest aimed at just one man. Many fans blame chairman Robert Maxwell for the team's alarming slide. Since putting the club up for sale and becoming interested in Spurs, the millionaire publisher has made no money available for new Derby players despite a crippling list of injuries. A £3 million takeover bid from local businessman Lionel Pickering brought little response from Mr Maxwell. Appeals for a quick sale had no effect.
Well, I don't want to be disrespectful to Mr Maxwell, but quite frankly, the sooner he sells, the more optimistic I would be about Derby County. And I'm afraid I'm echoing a lot of people's thoughts on that. I'm not being diplomatic, it is a fact of life, but he's not really shown a lot of interest in the club. And it's time, if he really is interested in Spurs, and he told me he was, I mean, he ought to relinquish Derby County and go about his own business with Spurs, because we're playing Spurs on Sunday, and quite frankly, who's Mr Maxwell going to be supporting? Mr Maxwell was out of the country this week, but he issued a statement reaffirming his plan to sell the club at the right price. His right price could be as much as £8 million, a figure which, according to sections of the Derby media, is totally unrealistic. They too hope serious negotiations will start soon and see Mr Pickering as the ideal successor to Robert Maxwell.
BBC Radio Derby Sports.
And on this Monday evening, welcome to Sports Scene Talk. In the news today is that Lionel Pickering has put in a bid of £3 million to Robert Maxwell for Derby County, and he's had no reply. With me is Graham Richards.
What I think we'd like the fans to do is to write
to telephone, to fax Mr. Maxwell and let him know our point of view. That the club has received a reasonable offer from Mr. Pickering at £3 million, and ask Mr. Maxwell why it is that Mr. Pickering has not been granted the favour of a reply.
On the field, Derby have the backbone of a successful side, but 3 world-class players don't make a complete team, and the club's lowly position must go down to the number of inexperienced youngsters thrown in at the deep end, a fact acknowledged by Peter Shilton.
It's great. I mean, it's great to have players like Dean and Mark and myself and Mickey Hartford, you know, and George Williams in the squad and in the club. But in the First Division, you really need to have 15 players of First Division quality. And you soon find that if you're lacking 1 or 2 players in matches, then you know, you can soon be struggling.
One of the few bright spots at Derby this season is the form of Welsh international Dean Saunders. His 13 goals have given supporters some hope that the Rams can avoid the big drop. But if that's to happen, they'll have to patch up an often leaky defence. Gary Lineker may fancy his chances of putting one past his former England teammate tomorrow. Unable to make new signings, manager Arthur Cox has the sympathy of his most celebrated predecessor.
He works under extremely difficult conditions, and I would think the worst conditions of any Football League manager in the Football League. But you will have to talk to him about that. It's got nothing to do with me. I just have sympathy for the man.
We don't want to use the for sale notice on the football club in any way, shape or form as an excuse, and no one at this club in the dressing room area and management area would want to do that.
Taking all things into account, you're happy with life at Derby County? You're not looking for a move or anything like that?
Behave yourself, will you? Everyone, you know as much about West Bromwich Albion, if that's what you're referring to, as what I know about it. When that appeared in 2 national newspapers, the public and everyone associated with it knew as much as what I knew about it. You know, everyone wants to create something that doesn't exist. Everyone wants to create a set of circumstances surrounding Derby County where there's going to be confrontations and all things like that. And it isn't like that. Genuinely, there's no doom and gloom here. The club is for sale. The sooner it's sold, the better. End of story.
It's
a sad story, really.
It's a sad story, and I think Arthur hit the nail on the head there. The sooner it's sold, the better. And one can't help feeling that probably Robert Maxwell should sell the club for as much as he can get for it. And if his interests do lie at Tottenham, to go in at Tottenham with the money that has so-called been talked about, and then I think everybody would be happy. The Derby County supporters would be happy, Robert Maxwell would be happy, and certainly Tottenham Hotspur would be happy.
Well, I think the fans at Derby County are obviously a little bit upset that they've got a chairman who, because of his commitments, he's a busy man worldwide.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's very rarely there, and they don't like that idea. And they also don't like the idea of the manager having his hands tied where he needs a few players, Jim, because really, you look at the players they've got, and you're saying Dean Saunders and Matt Wright, sellable.
Yeah.
Peter, you can't sell.
Well,
41,
no, Peter at 41 might bring a few quid, but I mean, basically, you're looking at 2 players.
So he needs money, he needs the support, and I know from experience, if the chairman is not supporting the club financially as well as, you know, physically being there, then you have a problem.
Yes, I think the problem really lies in Robert Maxwell's hands.
Yes. Right, well, it's Derby against Tottenham. It's the live game on ITV tomorrow. And anyway, last week's live match saw Howard Kendall's Everton perform acrobatics to put one over on his former club, Manchester City.
Yes, good game. Actually, good performance by Everton, even though I think Pat Nevin might have crept a few yards, shall we say, into the... And there's a goal by Peter Beardsley, and this is eat your heart out, Hugo Sanchez, isn't it?
Wonderful.
That's tremendous.
That's his first goal for the club. He's been practising for some time.
He's been practising it for 10 years, hasn't he? Yeah. But that's... dear old Joe Royal, good old Joe, blaming the goalkeeper for that one. I'm not too sure about that, Joe. I have to side with my old pal Saint on that.
Right, well, that's it for part 1. And part 2, we profile the league's most explosive striker. We've action from the top of the 2nd Division and the goals from last night's 4th Division top v bottom clash at Stockport. So don't go away. Welcome back. Now to a striker who has consistently put fear into the hearts of defenders and earned himself a reputation for always doing the extraordinary. Here's Clive Tilsley.
Here's some advice for any team preparing to cope with the threat of Mark Hughes. Keep the ball on the ground. Once you allow it to bounce, you're playing at his level. Hughes is the master of the volley. By his standards, Wednesday night's equaliser at Southampton was no more than a tap-in.
Robson's header, Hughes, 1-1. Instinctive and unstoppable. There's no better volleyer in the game.
I'm always trying to in training, so in the matches, the first thing that comes to my head is to try and volley, so I get plenty of practice.
You actually tee yourself up sometimes, even when the ball's on the ground. It's almost as if you prefer to volley the ball.
Yeah, that's right. Well, have you seen my heading? That's the reason I do it, I think, because I get more accuracy with my volleying, I think.
The amazing thing about the volley on Wednesday night at Southampton is that you seem to have your hands on your hips when the ball came to you.
Yeah, well, I just made the run and I was absolutely knackered, so I was just having a quick breather, so it was a bit of a shock when it came to me, but I was able to adjust and get it in the goal.
The 13th goal of Hughes' season means United still have 3 chances of cup success. The 11th and 12th against Sunderland last weekend have kept alive their outside chance of a title shot too. Great goals that are again fueling great expectations at Old Trafford.
Yeah, that's always happened here. We get a few results behind us, and obviously that creates a great interest, and the crowd start flocking back, and we're getting full houses every week. And in the past, we've disappointed them, so it's up to us to try and keep it going this year.
You think this is the best chance, though, to do that?
Well, I think we're playing as well this year as I think any United team I've been involved in.
Hughes feels that he's playing better than ever too. His critics have said that he's too robust, too selfish, not enough of a team player. Mark is answering them all this season.
Any criticism is going to upset you, and it's just, if you've got anything about you, you'll try and do something about it, if you feel it's reasonably justified.
Do you think you used to be a selfish player?
I wouldn't say selfish. I think possibly I made wrong decisions in my selection of pass, or in the selection of things that I was trying to do. In some games, possibly I hadn't seen much of the ball, so I was just wanting to get involved and show people what I could do. It's probably a lot to do with frustration. So I think I've mellowed, believe it or not. I don't know if people will believe that, but I think when I first came into the team as a youngster, I certainly was a little bit naughty, as people say, but I think I've mellowed in the years.
You used to retaliate first, did you?
Well, possibly, but I think I take as much as I give out, possibly a lot more, really.
Mark Hughes is one of those players about whom everybody has an opinion, one of the irresistible personalities of the game. A split personality. It's difficult to believe that the street fighter striker that you see on the field is the same soft-spoken person that you meet off it.
Yeah, I'm reasonably quiet off the pitch. It's just the way I am. I find it easier to express myself on the pitch, and I get a bit aerated and riled a bit, but off the park I'm quite in control, really.
Which is the real Mark Hughes?
This one, honestly.
Stand up, the real Mark Hughes. He's very interesting there, Jim, about his form. He said at times he was making the wrong selection of pass, and that was the one thing I used to criticise him about. You know, that he would hold the ball up and then, you know, either not play or give the wrong selection. But now, I mean, he's having a tremendous year.
Yeah, you've got to say that he would be in anybody's side this season, Mark Hughes, wouldn't he, if you were going to pick a team?
Well, he's scoring it this year as 26 games, 13 goals.
Yeah,
it's his best ever.
Yeah,
he's scored one
every
and two.
other game.
Yeah.
There would be an observation of mine that he probably falls down on just not scoring enough bread and butter goals, but he's still a great player.
He's getting more of them this year.
Yeah, great player.
Right, well, now to the second division. And although West Ham have opened up a 5-point gap, the promotion race is hotting up with most of the big clubs there or thereabouts. Here's Clive Tilsley again with a roundup of last week's best action.
With Alan Devonshire pulling the strings and Steve Perryman calling the shots, Watford were in the kind of form to rattle West Ham, but another dramatic goal from Trevor Morley midway through the second half won the day for the leaders. It had humble beginnings, McCloskey's long clearance, but a spectacular finish. Morley in eye-catching form at the moment. No catching West Ham. Oldham are still closest thanks to a landslide victory at Portsmouth. Winger Rick Holden knew a trick or two too many for Pompey, although his opening was matched by a Martin Cool penalty soon after. But Andy Gosney was much the busier keeper. Roger Palmer caught him on the rebound to make it 2-1 at half-time. 2 goals in as many minutes from Ian Marshall, a towering pillar of a centre-forward, wrapped it up early in the second half. Oldham laying the myth that they can't play on grass. They may soon be playing on First Division grass. Sheffield Wednesday took another step in that direction with a 1-goal victory at Hull. That goal set up by McCall and Hurst and taken at the second attempt by Paul Williams. Ron Atkinson's side unbeaten in 10 games, 3 points behind Oldham in third. Behind them the playoff posse is forming, and Brighton joined it with a 4-2 win over Newcastle on Wednesday. Newcomer Brian Wade scoring all 4, none better than his opener just before half-time. Newcastle actually led 2-1 with 15 minutes to go, but Christensen's slip ushered Wade into the winner's enclosure. Kenny Dalglish, down on the coast to spy on Liverpool's FA Cup opponents, left at that point. He missed parts 3 and 4 of the Wade fairy tale. A clever header to go with a right footer and a left footer for the original hat-trick. All this from a 27-year-old who started the season on the dole and in local league football in Wales. Unemployment may be on the up, but Brian Wade is one man who's found gainful employment this month. Brighton are gaining ground, up to 7th in the playoff zone with a game in hand and with a brand new secret weapon in Brian Wade.
Oh, what a wonderful debut at home, eh? 4 goals. He scored last week at Wolves. Can't be bad, can it, Ian?
I'll tell you, there are boys, Jimmy, playing, you know, certainly in the lower divisions, and some in the non-leagues that can certainly play in the league.
Yeah.
Good quality
We've
players.
always said that.
Yeah.
And you can bring players from non-league football into league football and for them to do extremely well. There's no question about that.
Well, Friday night action now, and we visit 4th Division leader Stockport County, who last night played host to bottom of the league Halifax Town. Here's Mark Tyler.
A repeat of the two sides' goalless draw on the opening day of the season always seemed unlikely. It took Stockport just 2 minutes to highlight the massive gap between the clubs. Jim Gannon on hand to volley home from close range. 6 minutes later and Stockport increased their lead in spectacular style. Andy Kilner no doubt claiming he spotted the keeper off his line before executing the perfect finish. A wayward cross seems the more realistic explanation. There were more talking points 3 minutes before the break. Again, it's Kilner at the centre of the action, bursting into the box before being brought down by Halifax captain Dave Evans. It was a foul that referee West considered bad enough to merit a red card. Defender Malcolm Brown made no mistake from the spot, his first of the season, and 3-0 to Stockport at half-time. It was a similar story after the break, lots of space for the Stockport wide men and the home side taking full advantage. Knowles' cross only deflected to Chris Beaumont, who turned to fire a superb shot into the corner, his 8th of the season. Another right-wing cross set up goal number 5. This time it's leading scorer Paul Williams who pops up at the far post to head home via the woodwork. Steve Norris volleyed a late consolation for Halifax, but it took little away from another fine Stockport performance, a 5-1 win to put them 3 points clear at the top.
Yes.
Going well, Stockport, James?
Well, they were last season, as I said, Ian. I expected them to go up, so I think they will this year. And now Tranmere versus Bradford, for all you Tranny fans. Your film is at Willesden Junction, at the station, courtesy of British Rail. And there's nothing we can do about it, folks. Sorry about that.
We're all looking forward to that as well. Right, now to Europe. And a derby game with a difference. A clash of the Madrids, Real and Atletico. 2 sending-offs, 3 goals and an amazing penalty miss. It was a derby match, Jim, that had everything.
Oh,
and it's
did.
not often that they win there, the Atletico win at the Bernabeu Stadium.
Very rare.
The poor Boyo in goal must be blamed for that one.
Yeah, I think Boyo had a bad time there. And this one, well, no, you can't blame him for that. But he's not looking very happy, is Boyo, is he? And Hugo Sanchez penalty. What about that one? I mean, now that makes Chris Waddles look accurate, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, here's goal number 3 coming up, Alfredo.
That's our pal Rodax. Remember Rodax?
Yep.
Radox,
our old man Radox from Austria, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But,
now, Real Madrid, Jimmy, they've really gone at the game. And John Toshak lost his job there this year. And,
when you look at how they're playing now, I mean, I think it might have been a mistake to let Tosh go. For the sake of a couple of early bad results.
It's always a problem with these big sides that if they don't get a run, then the manager goes, doesn't it? The pressure is so great on Real Madrid, the Inter Milans, the AC Milans. It is a real problem for management, and there you go.
Well, that's it for another week. Next week we preview the FA Cup 4th round and the Scottish Cup 3rd round. Don't forget to join Elton Wellesby for the match tomorrow and the results later this afternoon. We shall see you next week, hopefully. Bye.
Philippe, bye.
On today's show, all the drama and controversy of the Rumblers Cup quarter-finals. It's the FA Cup 4th round. Bolton's visit to Manchester United rekindles nostalgic memories of over 30 years ago. We meet Paul Simpson, Oxford United's wizard on the wing. He hopes to add to Tottenham's torment. And non-leaguers walking town taste the good life, but can they continue the giant killing?
Well, there you go. Good day. You all right then?
Yes, yeah.
You look well. You've been playing golf, have you? I understand.
Not in the golf. Yes, golf. Yes,
golf.
I'm down the post.
You've not been in the golf?
No.
You've not been in a bunker with Saddam Hussein?
No, I was in a few bunkers, yes, but I managed to get out of them, Jim. And won a prize, would you believe, for the first time ever.
Did you?
Yes.
You won a beauty prize. Well done.
Well, we have one match that kicked off at 12 o'clock today. That's the Bristol Derby, and it's Bristol Rovers 2, Bristol City 0. David Mayhew getting both the goals. Right now to last Wednesday night's Rumblers Cup action, and we start at Old Trafford, where Cup specialists Manchester United clashed with Southampton in a bid to earn a lucrative semi-final place against already qualified Leeds.
Leighton Blackmore trying to get Neil Webb on his way. Got past Adams. Handball, is it? Yes, penalty. Steve Bruce. Oh, and he's missed it. His first failure of the season. Robson. Webb. Hughes onside this time. Great chance for Mark Hughes. He's done it again. Case's free kick. An equaliser by Alan Shearer. Lee Sharp onside. Good control too. Useful cross. Mark Hughes, 2-1. Hughes again. Hughes has charged it down, and Hughes has got a real chance for a hat-trick here. He's got past the goalkeeper, and he's got his hat-trick. Alistair's slipping again, and here goes Rodney Wallace. He's got support from Barry Horn. Real chance for Wallace. Brought down, was he, by Seeley? Penalty given. Alan Shearer. It's Hughes 3, Shearer 2.
Pearson and Shirtlip, the two centre-backs, are both forward for the kick. Played into the far post and cut back neatly as well, and the turn, and it's got in! And Pearson, who gets so many vital goals for Sheffield Wednesday, has got another.
Now Gascoigne bursting on the scene. And the referee had a hard look at that. He's surrounded by Spurs players. Brian Hill decided no penalty. Now Townsend. Here's a chance for Chelsea! Andy Townsend! Matthew. Townsend. Against the post. Can Dixon get there first? He has! It's a second one for Chelsea. Jury. Penalty given. It's 3-0. Dennis Wise does it.
Well, James, you did say last week when I said I thought Tottenham would get through, you said that wasn't going to be the case.
Yeah, they always do well at White Hart Lane, Chelsea, and they did play very well.
Mind you, I thought Gaza should have had a penalty
He
there.
should
That
have
was
done.
ridiculous.
Yes.
But
And
also,
that was before Chelsea had scored. So,
that's right. But Gaza did some great things as usual, Jim. We always expect the Gaza. And he's got the old army haircut.
Yes, and been made up to a corporal.
He does some lovely things.
Oh, he was wonderful on the ball at times. You can see his close work here. Look at that through his legs there. Beautiful. He just ran out of ground, really. Too many players round him. But he did have some good skill, there was no doubt about it.
But what about the incident that I was reading about in the papers with Townsend, who's chasing him here?
That's right. Well, you can see what happens. He bashes into one player and then he pulls, literally rips at Townsend's face. So that's the other side.
His contact lens
So it's
came
a bit of the good, the bad and the ugly.
And Graham Taylor was at the game looking at, obviously, having a look at Gaza again, and I suppose incidents like that don't help his cause.
It doesn't help his cause. He had a good game, but as you say, when you see incidents like that, it is a bit difficult for him, isn't it?
The game at Old Trafford, again, Jim brought up the business of the interpretation of referees for what was supposed to be professional fouls.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know, dear old George, I can't believe this, because I know when it happened at the time, I just said, well, like, no way was Jimmy Case ever involved in a professional foul there, and he got sent off. And here, you've got Seeley, who comes out. Now, surely that's got to be a sending off offence. And yet, poor old Jim gets the old Spanish archer and is off, and Seeley just gets the yellow card. Now, we get these letters from Colin Downey saying we're misleading people and everything. What the hell is happening there?
I know.
Is that not misleading people?
And George Courtney, the referee, last week and
George,
this week.
our best referee.
OK, let's have a look at the draw as it stands now, Jim. And three of the teams of mine got through.
Yes.
Chelsea, you fancied Leeds, so Leeds
No,
got through.
I fancied Chelsea,
Oh, you
and they're
fancied
there.
Yes.
So there we are, first legs on the 10th of Feb.
Yeah,
So
good
we'll
semis.
see. Yeah,
Good
very
semis,
good.
yeah. OK, now to the FA Cup fourth round, and the club facing the most daunting task today must be Bolton Wanderers. They face Manchester United, whose remarkable cup run continues, only one defeat in all cup competitions since September '89. But Bolton are a club steeped in FA Cup history. 4 times winners themselves, as Manchester United know, to their cost.
The 1958 FA Cup final was played in the shadow of the Munich air disaster. All the sympathy and popular support belonged to Manchester United. But thanks to Nat Lofthouse, the cup itself belonged to Bolton Wanderers. His second goal in the 2-0 win was one of the most talked about in Wembley history. United keeper Harry Gregg, victim of a pushover goal. Lofthouse, England's Lion of Vienna, had tamed the nation's favourites. Bolton Wanderers didn't read the script.
Well, I think that's happened twice to Bolton Wanderers. In the '53 final, everybody wanted Stan Matthews to get his cup final medal, his winner's medal. And in the '58 one, it was obviously with Manchester United, and quite rightly so too, because they just suffered Munich and it was a terrible blow, and they'd done well to get to Wembley. But I didn't want them to win.
You were the villain of the piece.
Well, I was reported so, but I'm glad we won 2-0. Apart from that one goal, if it had just been 1-0, it could have been a little bit suspicious, but 2-0 sounds better.
Would you have got away with that today?
No, I'd have probably been sent off today, but the rules didn't apply those days. And I just turned round and saw the referee pointing to the centre spot, and I thought he's given a goal.
When old acquaintances are renewed at Old Trafford today, the Bolton team will be in the charge of Mick Brown, a former cup final coach with United, and manager Phil Neal. Ironically, the FA Cup was the one trophy to elude him during his all-conquering years with Liverpool.
I've just one saying, I don't bother with my past, I don't bore the lads with my past. I'm here to create a future, and the past is all for the history books and the historians who want to write about the past. I've just got to try and create a future.
Is there a danger that you expect too much of third division players after your days with Liverpool?
No, I think you try and preach the same principles that you've gathered over the years, that's in there, that you've been robotically taught at Liverpool and at an England level, and really you just stress those points, and they're very simple points really, like the round things made to go round, not to be
kicked and humped and lashed. Obviously we try and play the stuff that in the manner that hopefully take us to a higher sphere and stand us in good stead when we get there.
Bolton, unbeaten in 15 games, are pushing for promotion from the 3rd Division. They've already pushed 1st Division Coventry in the League Cup. Leading scorer Tony Fiddleskirk is a top-flight finisher. But there is a problem with him.
What happened?
As you can see, my boot's a bit worse for wear. We played last Saturday against Shrewsbury, and I think I tried a shot from about 25 yards, and I kicked the deck, and as you can see, my favourite boots, worse for wear now.
How many's that knocked in?
Well, this mainly, my left foot, it's probably scored the majority of my goals in the last 2 season and a half here at Bolton, so this boot here did 42. Got a pair now that's exactly the same, so I'm hopeful that they can do the same job as this one did.
The new for old policy has already taken the new team back to its old Wembley stomping ground twice in the last 5 years. And with company matters in the hands of that established firm of Neil, Lofthouse and Brown, Manchester United will have to put up a very good defence of their cup today.
The 1958 team will actually be there, and I'm sure they'll enjoy the day because it'll bring back all the effort that they expelled on their famous cup final day. Hopefully if my lads apply that same effort and put as much sweat on the shirt against United, then who knows?
Got to ask you, can you beat them?
I've never gone into a football match in the whole of my life expecting to get beat, and I ain't starting now.
I'm sure it'll give Mick a lot of pleasure going back to Old Trafford with the team and knocking them out the cup. But United, Jim, as we've seen, playing so well, and certainly in the cups, they just keep winning and winning.
Yeah.
And they're on a great roll at the moment.
They are indeed. They actually are beginning to look a really complete side at long last, and they're looking superb. What's interesting is all the Bolton old boys are going to be walking out there.
That'll be nice, that, yeah.
Hartle, Banks, Ennin, Higgins, Edwards. What a defence. No.
My church lady might not go out if
they might. They wouldn't go out if they saw it. Because they'll all still be going out in their short sleeves, won't they? It'll be a freezing cold day, but they'll still have just their little Fred Perrys on, won't they? Ooh, horrible lot.
Oh, what a game that is down at Bristol in the derby match there. It's now 2-2. Martin Scott and Rob Newman, the scorers, to draw level there. Well, that's it for part one. In part two, we assess the chances of two more potential giant killers, Oxford and Woking. We look at the Scottish Cup, and we see how Doncaster went top of the 4th Division last night. So don't go away. Welcome back. We've already seen Spurs crash out of the Rumbelows Cup, and that makes today's FA Cup tie against Oxford absolutely crucial. Spurs' most powerful opponent at the moment is a bank manager, and the club desperately need every penny. We sent Jim Rosenthal back to his home city to assess Oxford's chance of causing another big upset.
Well, let's get one thing absolutely straight for starters. This is a totally biased report. I've been an Oxford fan right through from the days in the old Southern League to Wembley and the First Division. And one thing that really gets to you is the amount of footballing talent that's graduated from that Manor College up on the hill.
There's Ray Houghton. West Ham let him go on a free. He came via Fulham. His career took off. Houghton starred in Oxford's Milk Cup triumph, and now he's an established international. So's Mark Wright. Mark, very much a local boy. He got his first taste of league football as a freckly-faced teenager at the Manor. John Aldridge was United's record goal scorer, 90 in 3 years. Liverpool said, that'll do for us. The Scouser Aldo went home to replace Rush. Dean Saunders was transformed from a run-of-the-mill striker to a £1 million man in just 18 months. We really sharpened up his striking instincts, and then Dino left too. Now Paul Simpson's got the big clubs very interested. Simo's having a great season. He can pose Gaza-style threats from free kicks. Simpson was manager Brian Horton's first signing from Manchester City reserves. He can be quite exceptional. But is the Oxford Academy just producing more shining talent for somebody else?
I'm trying to keep him drastically. Paul Simpson knows that, I know that. We can't tell everybody. I mean, people have come to see him play, and they must be impressed with the things he does. I think he's got to improve certain aspects of his game, and he knows that. But he's still young enough. He's played a lot of games for a 24-year-old. I'm trying to sell him by the sound of this, and I don't want to sell him because he does special things for me.
When I signed here, that wasn't in my mind to come here and use it as a stepping stone. I intended to come here and hopefully get back in the First Division with Oxford United. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that way at the moment, but I mean, like I say, if we can just keep playing away and hopefully get the right results, you never know what might happen this season.
As well as Simpson, John Durnan's a threat to Spurs, 5 in the last 6 league games. Now, he can be a wild man off the pitch, but John's leading the line superbly. We've got one of the great skippers too, in Steve Foster, a marvellous organiser, now 33. Fozzie's a great competitor and motivator. I reckon he'll match Lineker for pace. So will he keep Spurs out and Simo open them up, like Chelsea in the last round?
It's a great stage for me. I mean, we're playing against one of the top sides in the First Division, and when you look at their side, they've got so much ability right throughout, from the goalkeeper right through to even on the subs bench. They've got players who'd walk into most First Division sides, so it's a great stage for me to show what I can do. And the same applies to everybody else in our side. It's a stage for everybody to rise above the normal sort of standards and impress everybody who's watching.
But they've got Gascoigne that can produce things, they've got Lineker that can produce things, Stewart, Walsh. I mean, you look through the side, and they've only got to do one bit of magic, but Paul Simpson can do magic. John Durnan's been producing magic for the last few weeks. Let's hope that we do. I'm not going to frighten our players with what they can do, Jim. I mean, I want us to go and show what we can do. And if we do, we can cause a shock. And it might be the right time to catch them.
Not an impossibility, I wouldn't think.
I would think Brian's probably got the nail on the head there. It might well be the right time to catch Tottenham. They're a little bit wobbly at the moment.
Well, they're under a lot of pressure, you know. And this is the one thing they've got left, is the FA Cup.
That's right.
They need that for lots of things, including, of course, the finance.
Yeah.
They need to get through, get into Europe to help with the financial problems.
So the pressure really is on them. And he looks a good player, that Paul Simpson, doesn't he? He reminds me of Eddie Gray, the way he jinks.
Yeah, with all left peg like Eddie, yeah.
Bit useful.
Interesting. Right now to the Vauxhall League part-timers. Woking, who so far have provided the Cup's giant-killing magic with that inspired victory over West Bromwich. Well, tomorrow they travel to mighty Everton for the biggest game in the club's history. This week the Woking players began the build-up by relaxing at a luxury hotel. Our reporter Mark Tyler joined them.
After weeks in the football spotlight, it was a case of getting away from it all for the Woking players as they began their big match preparation. Their feet simply haven't touched the ground since Tim Bazaglo's hat-trick at the Hawthorns secured a permanent place in FA Cup folklore. The star striker has been sidelined with flu, and a visit to the health club seemed the perfect way to put the glow back in Bazaglo and also to take the pressure off the rest of the team. Constant attention from the media has taken its toll. The headlines and publicity since the West Brom game have been hard to handle.
It's turned our lives upside down. I mean, we've had the media on every day, TV such as yourself. It's been very, very difficult. We're not used to it, to be quite honest. And we're only a small club, growing very fast. But I would say that in the last 2 or 3 performances after West Bromwich have been poor, and it's got to be down to what's been happening in the last couple of weeks. The priority for Woking Football Club this year is the Vauxhall League. We want to win that and get into the conference. I've said it many times, the quicker we're out the FA Cup, the better. Tongue-in-cheek, long may it continue.
Woking's promotion hopes have been badly affected by their cup exploits. Since this win over Tooting, they played badly and suffered a crucial home defeat by Basingstoke last Saturday. Tim Bazaglo missed that game but is back for the big match at Goodison. But despite his cup hat-trick, he insists that Woking's success is very much a team effort.
It's a team game. We all played well, and I didn't win it for them. The team won, and the team played well on against West Brom, and hopefully we can do it again at Everton. I'm not saying we're going to win at Everton, but if we put in a performance like we did against West Brom, who knows?
Woking are under no illusions about the task that now faces them. Coach Fred Callaghan at Goodison to see the recent win over Manchester City.
Sheedy with a spectacular goal! What a beauty!
I mean, they've certainly improved since Howard Kendall's gone there, and I think, you know, to beat them, we've got to be at our absolute best. I mean, the way they knock the ball around and keeping possession and looking for openings, like that's going to be a problem to us. But, you know, we're going up there, you know, with a positive attitude. We won't try to sit back and defend. I think if we try to do that, I think we'll get crucified. So what I think we've got to do is play our natural game and also organise ourselves from when they get the ball. Make sure that we're right defensively.
Jeff, I know you're a realistic man, so are you really expecting to be in the draw for the next round of the Cup?
Yes, I am actually, funny enough. I know people would probably laugh at me when I say it, but I've tremendous belief in what we're doing here, in my staff, Fred Callaghan, coach, Colin Lippiott, assistant manager, right down to players. We believe in it, and I know that everyone outside of Woking will not believe that we've got a chance, but hopefully we can provide a shock.
There you are. Good chat from both men. Oh, Fred in the pool there. He looked as though he'd been at the baked beans, didn't he? The way
he put on a bit of weight as well.
Yeah, always. It's very heavyweight. Yeah.
One nice thing about that game, Jim, is that West Brom, who they knocked out in the last round, there's some coaches going up there to support them. So that's a nice sporting touch, isn't it?
If you were a West Brom supporter, you'd go up there as well, wouldn't you?
Well, I think I don't see them actually winning it, but the lad Bozaglo's got pace, and the one thing that Everton don't fancy through the middle is a bit of pace against them. So who knows? Let's look at the caption and see the other matches there.
There we are.
We haven't talked about Liverpool-Brighton.
Well, Liverpool-Brighton, got to go for Liverpool. Manchester United, yeah, all those in gold look like being the ones likely to go through, aren't they, really?
OK, right, so 5 potential First Division casualties there, but 2 First Division sides will definitely go out in the 4th round. Coventry and Southampton, both Rumbelows Cup quarter-final losers this week, meet at Highfield Road, and at Highbury tomorrow, Arsenal play Leeds. Incidentally, an all-ticket match where 2 ex-Gunners will be out to prove a point.
Yes, John Lukic and
Lee
Chapman.
I thought Lukic, Jim, I was surprised that Lukic was let go, but he's been an inspiration for Leeds this year. One of the reasons why they've been doing so well.
Well, he was a good keeper.
He was a very good keeper at Arsenal,
and I'm not saying Dave Seaman isn't, but it seemed an odd move at the time because he is a good goalkeeper, and he'd done nothing wrong at Arsenal. But he's certainly done a lot for Leeds.
But Lee Chapman, 17 goals in all competitions this year. I mean, again, when he was at the Arsenal, Jimmy,
he did have a bad
spell, but the big fella is looking good.
Yeah.
Bit of skill there, lovely goal.
Right, yeah. So there you go. There's 2 players with revenge on their minds.
And Chris White, who's also in the squad as an ex-Arsenal player as well.
Yeah.
Whether he will play or not. Who would you fancy an upset there?
No, you've got to fancy
Arsenal?
Yeah.
OK, let's look at other ties here. All second division
ties, aren't they? Well, they're tough ties.
They're all tough games. The top teams, they're all going for promotion, so anybody can win them.
No, you're right there.
Right.
And there's the remaining ties, which are interesting. Luton West Ham would be a good one. Luton floundering at the bottom a little bit, West Ham at the top.
I like the look of Shrewsbury against Wimbledon, a First Division team going to Shrewsbury. With John Bond manager now at Shrewsbury.
John Bond manager of Shrewsbury, and that old coracle will be out with that ball getting it out of the river, won't it? And the other interesting game there is Norwich versus Swindon, because Swindon's beat them 2 out of 3 seasons, I think. So our predictions are still there, aren't they?
Well, you went for Tottenham.
I went for Tottenham, and you went for Nottingham Forest.
Forest are not in this round as yet, but they're still there. They're still there, so keep all the options open. Right, let's turn our attention now to Scotland, where today sees the start of the Scottish Cup 3rd round. Aberdeen, the holders, at home to my old team Motherwell, and Celtic visit Forfar, where they scraped a 2-1 victory at the same stage last year. And Jim, I have to say, Billy McNeil under a bit of pressure.
Under a lot of pressure, I would think, Ian, the way Celtic are going.
The league form has been drastic.
And this is where they've got to perform. This is Forfar. Incredible pick.
Well, they struggled there last year.
And there's their 1978 Cup-winning side.
But last year they went through to the final, and this is where they knocked out Rangers at the semi-stage.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, so they've got...
4th round, rather.
They've got to do something. I mean, as you say, Celtic have got to be under enormous, intense pressure up in Scotland.
They were very unlucky last year in the final against Aberdeen. Went to penalties, 9-8 in penalties.
That's right. And Aberdeen won.
Aberdeen won, Brian Evan, the scorer there, slotted it.
Well, there you go.
But if Celtic don't win this one,
well, I don't know.
Forfar, I mean, I hate to think about it, for Billy, who's a great pal of mine, and I wouldn't like to see, things go that bad for him because it's desperate. But let's look at the draw, the rest of the draw there.
Let's look at it. Oh, blimey, Ross County or Queen of the South, they still haven't played. Queen of the South still haven't played, Ian, so we don't know.
Amazing, yeah.
There you go. Whether they're even in the next round. But the tie of the round there is definitely Partick versus Falkirk.
Well, Falkirk going well. Right. OK, now some league action. And last night, Doncaster... Pardon? What did you say? Did you say something to me?
Didn't say a word.
I thought you were going to discuss all the Scottish teams.
No.
You weren't going to say anything?
No, weren't going to say a word.
Nothing about the Ackies?
No, nothing about the Ackies.
OK, right. Back to the action now. League action from last night. Doncaster met Rochdale.
Don't start on me.
At the Bellevue ground, knowing a victory would take them to the top of the 4th division. Doncaster in white. And you saw them last year, Jim, and liked them last year.
I did. I liked them last year, and this is Kevin Nottingham scoring the goal. I thought that they were playing too good a football to get out of the 4th division last year, and that could even be the case this year, but they've gone back up top, which of course is important to them, isn't it?
Well, the programme, you've got the programme from last night. There's a couple of interesting things.
I've got Doncaster's programme, which is very interesting because they go to Walsall, and the West Midlands Police have requested that that because of obscene chanting and obscene gestures,
which we don't want,
that some of the chants and songs may be sort of cleaned up a bit. Like, it's nice to know you're here, it's nice to know you're here, now kindly leave the stadium. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? And there's another one. We will follow our team, we are supreme, we'll never be mastered by the offspring born out of wedlock. Who's that nice chap in the non-white suit? You can hear him singing that.
Oh, this is the one at the referee,
that chap in the non-white suit, you know. It's lovely. And here's another one here. What the ding-dong bell was that? And we'll leave that to your imagination. But it's nice to see that the old West Midlands Police have got a bit of sense of humour there.
We may get some sent in, Jim, some songs, revamped songs.
Yeah, clean songs, please, folks.
OK, and by the way, it's still 2-2 in that Bristol derby. Well, that's it for today. For all the cup results and news, join Elton Wellesby at 5 o'clock for the results service. We shall be back next week, so we'll see you then.
Be back, if employed.
Mademoiselle, I see the time.